All right, on International Workers' Day, we can all agree that people must be protected against COVID-19 at the workplace. Many workers are facing the added burden of losing their jobs because of the pandemic's economic knock. To talk more about this, I'm joined by SAFTU's General Secretary, Zwelimzima Vavi, via Skype. Mr. Vavi, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Of course, this time around, and this year in particular, we must look at the safety of workers in the fight against COVID-19. What do you reckon, especially since we saw people protest today about a lack of protective gear?
Well, those were the SAFTU unions who were at the Krisani Paraganath again tried to desperately draw to the attention of the reality that despite the government repeated calls to the rest of the society that everyone must observe the regulation, and the most important of those regulations is that people must avoid contact, must keep distance, social distance, must wear masks, must wear gloves, must have personal protective equipment. The nurses, as we speak, the doctors, the health workers, do not always get those equipment themselves. The very people who are in the front line of protecting the country from the spread of the virus. And it is a very sad moment of contradictions in our society. One hand, government says to everybody, including in the private sector, it says to mining, to the farms, to the manufacturing, to the manufacturers, and to everybody, before you open your workplaces, guarantee workers that they will have these conditions. And yet, as government, the employee, the employer of 1.3 million workers who should be leading by example, is found wanting when it comes to ensuring that those regulations are adhered to in the government. We want to condemn that in the strongest term, that nurses, doctors have to resort to breaking the very regulations to demonstrate that the government seemingly is giving us hot air and empty rhetoric. And when already nurses have been exposed in so many institutions, from Netcare to Durban Hospital, that and there you are. We praise these nurses all the time, but we're failing to protect them.
Yeah. Very quickly, Mr. Vavi, one last thing regarding workers' rights. Of course, during this period, people can forget about increments in salaries this year, and it leaves many workers still earning a pittance.
Before there was this crisis, there was a tremendous problems facing the working class in South Africa. There was a job loss bloodbath. The economy was in recession. Wages were being depressed. Government was reducing and opting out of a signed agreement, and therefore signaling to the rest of the private sector that it is okay to sign agreements with the unions and then pull out of them willy-nilly. Government had cut 161 billion rand. So from the 15th of April, the public sector workers, the very same doctors and nurses we want to celebrate, didn't receive their annual income. Not because of Corona, but because government have stuck to its neoliberal framework and have stuck to its austerity program. That means cutting the expenditure, including on health, education, and so forth. Now, with this crisis, we're going to find ourselves in even deeper crisis of more hundreds and thousands. In fact, some people estimate that anything between 1 million and 3 million workers in South Africa, or even more, may lose their jobs, and that our economy may shrink by anything between 6% and 10 to 12%. That spells a disaster on a country that already have a 10.5 million people unemployed, that already have 60% of its youth unemployed. Yeah. And we are absolutely very scared about what is all going to be for every South African going forward.
Thank you so much for your time and your insight, and thank you for waiting for us. Zwelimzima Vavi is the General Secretary of SAFTU.